Broadstairs such a special place? Welcome to Broadstairs Life, and today I'm sat here with Zoe, a local author of children's stories, and it's nice to meet you today, and thank you for letting me come and see you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So, Zoe, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became an author.
Oh, it's a long story, but I will try and make it short. I've always wanted to be an author. Since the age of 5, I loved the world of books. I loved reading.
Yeah.
I found them portals to other worlds. And then once you read, you learn to write. They say reading is breathing in, writing is breathing out. And so I was naturally...
I've never heard that expression.
Have you not?
No.
Oh. They say it in the world of teaching and writing anyway.
Right.
So I wanted to... So I was quite good at writing at school. So then I created school magazines, wrote for newsletters. When I went to uni, I thought I wanted to be a journalist. I wrote... film reviews for the Hull Fire, it was called, the university newspaper. But always I was tapping away, making up stories, and was what they called the slush pile. I was submitting to the slush pile samples of my work in the hope of getting an agent to represent me. But then the world of self-publishing opened up, so...
Was that the big step forward?
It was a stepping stone. So I'm now published by Andersen Press, who are a children's and young adult publisher, and which was the big book deal that I've been waiting for, but it took a long time coming. It's a big journey or process.
It's a big process.
It's a process, unless you're very lucky or you really are the talent of the year that gets scooped up. They say that most authors I've met have a second job. So I'm, my passion, and I put a lot of hours into authoring, visiting schools, presenting at festivals and events. But I also teach as well. So I was a primary school teacher, which goes hand in hand with children's books very well. But your head is so full when you're a primary school teacher. I didn't publish as a primary school teacher.
Right.
I then I got a bit of a disability with mobility, so I stepped out of teaching in schools to set up my own small business at home called Invincible Voices.
Right.
And it did include putting on drama productions as well, because I sing, and when I was working in primary schools, I was the teacher who worked in partnership with the Southbank, or put on all the nativity plays and the Year 6 production. So that
must have been nice.
Yeah, it was great, but it's very physically, it takes a demanding, because I'm working
very time consuming.
I work with 500 children at a time in a hall sometimes, and
500.
When you're in your 30s, that's all right. You've got the energy,
wow. But that's a lot of kids to work with.
And in my late 30s, my hips literally started to fall off. Because I was born with hip dysplasia, and I had to go through a lot of surgery, and so it was a tough, challenging time, but. I come from a family that likes to rise above adversity, so I turned that into a positive and set up my working from home business. So I was a work from homer well before COVID became a thing. And I used to run creative writing sessions in my living room, working with small groups of children, and we produced stories, which I then published. Go on.
Under the Invincible Voices.
Under the umbrella of Invincible Voices.
Right.
So I've got 4 anthologies of short stories here, which are a collaboration of author and child. So the tagline is stories for children by children, because you can really see that the child's heart is in there and voice, but then they're polished and channeled. All their ideas are channeled together into...
And it's so important to make children want to write.
Yeah. Well, they want to read as well.
Phenomenal, isn't it?
As a result, exactly. They have their imagination, and I feel like the room is full of a cloud of ideas that we're plucking from the air and throwing out there. And obviously, if every child's idea went into one story, it would be a big babble, like the way I speak. So I would then use what they call the story mountain. We professionals will call it the Aristotelian arc, but it's the same thing. Dates back to the ancient Greeks, where you have 5 aspects to telling a story: the introduction, the build-up, the problem, the resolution, and the conclusion. We took the story mountain, started with a setting. They wrote about whatever they wanted to write about, with me helping to channel the ideas and polish them.
And did you find that children need that little bit of channeling to a certain point?
Yeah, I mean, we as authors need the children for ideas. I do write for adults as well, but currently my forte is in children's fiction, and that's what's keeping me busy. But yeah, when I'm offer author visits to schools or at festivals, and we open up to Q&A, one of the first questions I'm asked is, where do you get your ideas from? And I said, from the children. I asked them, what should we write about today? So I'm writing a series of books about twins, Callie and Jimmy. That's who Andersen Press currently publish. And they... when I go into schools, I say to the children, where should we take Callie and Jimmy? And we always start with a setting, and then that just leads to the rest of the story, and it evolves. And
so they give you some inspiration? Yeah.
So the Invincible Voices are completely the children's ideas with me acting as scribe. Whereas the Callie and Jimmy Twins series are my ideas. It's my writing, but I do... brainstorm with children, and sometimes, as well as giving author talks, we plan a story as well. So
what age group is
Callie and Jimmy are for 6 to 10 year olds. I'll work with primary schools from reception through to year 6. But back to the self-publishing, that was when I was creating these short stories under the Invincible Voices umbrella. I thought, why don't I publish these properly rather than just photocopying them and stapling them together and sending them home that way? So through a part of my writer's journey, there'll be lots of strands to this conversation. We're all self-diagnosing at the moment with ADHD. I write about Jimmy, and he has ADHD, and one of the things is you go off on a lot of different tangents. And I think whilst writing about ADHD, I've sort of discovered that perhaps there's an element of that in me, which you might find from the way I speak and go off on various paths, but I like to tie it back together, and that's what I do with my story writing as well. So as part of the journey of becoming a writer, I made a group of writing buddies through a adult education creative writing course, and we became a really solid unit, and they're all writing now. One of them's an amazing crime fiction writer published by Booker. Her name's Susie Lines, or S.E. Lines. She's sold thousands. We're in big awe of her. Another one, Callie Langridge, writes time slip, romantic historical fiction, doing really well there. So
everybody's gone off at a different area.
Yeah, but it's great to have writing buddies because you support each other. The writing community is so good for championing each other, and you know.
And do they help you? I mean, I know I've heard it mentioned like a writing block, but do other people sort of can get you out of that?
Yeah.
Just by speaking to them.
Or
why don't you? And then you.
And what we did with our writing group is we would meet every 2 weeks in a pub, so it was a social as well, a bit like a book group, but a writers group. And sorry, book groups, if you don't meet in pubs. I think it's more coffee mornings, is it? I don't know. I heard wine is sometimes involved.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So we would, because we knew we were going to meet every 2 weeks and share some writing, it spurred us on to write. So that certainly does help with the writer's block. My current writer's block is more because I have a lot of busyness going on in my head. I need a clear head to write. currently I'm settling my mum into a lovely care home at Chartwell House in Broadstairs. We could do a whole podcast on that if you like. There's a lot to be said about that. It's a brilliant care home. And also, I've only recently moved here, so I've had to renovate the house. Also, sadly, selling my mum's house to pay for the care home. So my head is full of busyness. So I use my tutoring and English teaching to sort of keep me going.
So in relation, say, to your first Callie and Jimmy, how long did that take from the idea to the day it finished and you went, I'm happy?
Well, you get a deadline from your publisher.
Oh, do you? Oh,
So
okay,
that kind of has something to do with it.
That probably
In a
spurred you on
nutshell, what they call middle grade fiction, book like Callie and Jimmy could take between 6 months to a year to go from your idea to being published on the shelves, because there's a lot of processes involved.
I'm sure there are.
In terms of writing a first draft, it doesn't actually take me that long when I'm on a roll. So Callie and Jimmy are actually 4 long short stories. So I'll write one adventure at a time, then take a break. Because
do you, when you're writing, and say like you say, oh, I've done my draft, and then you go back.
Well,
and does this happen?
Every writer has their own process, so that may be the case for some writers. I will shut myself away and immerse myself in the writing. So the reason I've moved to the sea now is I've always took myself out of the London borough of Hounslow to somewhere beautiful by the sea to write.
You're in Broadstairs.
And this is why I've moved here. My publisher actually said, Zoe, you keep saying where you live is too overcrowded, too overlooked, and all you want to do is live by the sea. Why don't you just do it?
And you have.
And my teaching takes place online now, so I could just lift my laptop up and work wherever. So here I am in Broadstairs, and what I would do is I'd take about 5 days out with nothing else, no tutoring, no other anything else to do with life going on apart from, emergencies like my mum, that sort of thing. And I'd just shut myself away and I'd get up in the morning. The first thing I do is write. So I've got nothing else in my head. A nice clear head without any interruptions or distractions. And I literally will only do about an hour or 2 at the most.
That's enough though, isn't it?
I'll bash out 1,000 to 2,000 words first thing. Then I take a lovely walk by the sea, and then I'll hang out at home and just read somewhere. I love reading. My house is full of books.
Can anybody write a book?
They say everybody's got a book in them, but I think you need a passion to be a writer, and a certain... It's like not anybody could be a footballer.
No.
Like, everybody could play football at lunchtime or on Friday with their mates, but could everybody be a professional footballer? I'm not sure. I certainly couldn't with my hip dysplasia. We're not all built for it. No. And I think, I think that's why a lot of celebrities who write have ghostwriters or other writers behind them.
I've got a thing in my head that I've wanted to do for years, and it's all about the birth of my son and what happened over the years.
Yeah, because he's blind.
But there was a lot more
other things going on.
I've even got the title. Yeah. And the title's always stayed with me.
Well, you may well have that book ready to go and, write your first draft. Everybody can be a writer, and I think everybody can get published, as you can see with the stream of celebrities now who are unfortunately saturating the market, with us writers who've been dedicated since the age of 5. Because if you've got a great idea, like the story of your son, and I'm a memoirist as well. I'm actually... I wrote a memoir from my life in the 80s, which was quite... the sort of tagline for it is growing up in a dysfunctional Cypriot family in West London with plenty of plate smashing, but for all the wrong reasons.
They're good for you.
Yeah.
Because you actually sit and you think about your past and you think about all what went on.
Yeah. And it's cathartic.
You pull bits out, don't you?
And I think I won a small competition with that, so... tying up some loose threads.
Yeah.
The writing group took me to a really fantastic writers' festival called the Winchester Writers' Festival, and we'd go every year and meet.
You won there, didn't you?
I won the Memoir prize for an excerpt from my memoir, which hasn't been fully published, but I'm looking to turn it into a novel and fictionalise it a little bit more. Because I really like the voice in that story, and although it's about dysfunctional family life and there is a tragedy in there, it's told with humour, so it's quite people enjoy it, they find it entertaining. So I will write that. I've got one more Callie and Jimmy book in me. There are 4 in the series.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you go down the route of an audio book as well?
Yeah, and I was really lucky to get to narrate my own audiobooks. So I have a drama background. I'm not a professional, fully fledged actress, but I've had a drama background through university and drama clubs. So I went. So Andersen Press give you a contract, and it offers you. It included in that contract are things like, if we sell the TV rights for you, this is what will happen. If we sell the audio rights for you, this is what will happen. And we did TV rights are really very, very rare. They're like bucket of gold at the end of the rainbow, and you could even sell your TV rights and then they sit on a shelf for 10, 15 years.
And all of a sudden somebody comes along, a producer, and goes,
or they stay on the shelf, unfortunately. Callie and Jimmy in a saturated market haven't made it to TV rights, although I think they make a really good children's programme like Mr. Ben, that sort of programmes. We have
do you know what, Mr. Ben?
I loved Mr.
Simple.
Ben. Going to portals to other worlds.
It was brilliant. Yeah. I mean, as a kid, I used to love watching Mr. Ben.
Grew up with Mr. Ben, and you can't see on a podcast, but Callie and Jimmy are very nicely illustrated by a fantastic rising star called Katie Keir, and I think the illustrations make the book as well. So, they go back to the process. I would write a first draft. I could write a whole story in 5 days, which is about 5,000 words. I'd get 4 5,000 word stories done in the space of 2 or 3 months, because I do them one at a time with breaks in between, because your brain gets frazzled.
Absolutely.
It's quite an intense process.
No, I mean, that's what happens, isn't it?
Yeah. And then I'd send them to the editor. So when you say, where do you get your ideas from, or if you have writer's block, she doesn't resolve writer's block, but she certainly helps enabling the ideas to become better ones. So she will edit. Well, in terms of the line edit, I'm pretty good with my grammar and spelling and so forth, because I'm a teacher as well. But she will give me ideas for expanding on a certain section, or occasionally we cut an entire story, or we might cut a story halfway and give it a different kind of journey towards the end. Mostly they're in similar shape as to when I send them in first draft form, but there is a lot of processing. Once we've line edited it and content edited it, it then goes to the art editor, who sends it to Katie Keir to illustrate. I have a say in what kind of illustrations go in.
And you illustrate throughout the book?
Yeah, pretty much. Not a picture on every single page, but on most of the pages. I'd say they're like a sort of extended version of a Horrid Henry type of book, with 4 stories in one and lots of pictures. That's Callie and Jimmy, and they're a lot of fun. They're 2 twins. And I wanted to make them different, so one is neurodivergent, one is neurotypical, and that was the big difference. I'm not a twin, but I had a brother, and he was 11 months younger than me. So growing up, we looked quite similar. We were similar heights until I grew first, and Mum even had us in a double buggy, and everyone would be like, "Are they twins? Are they twins?" And we'd be dressed similarly, and we did everything in cahoots. We fought as well a lot.
Of course, well, you have to. So your brother and sister. That's what we all did.
So it felt like being a twin, and being from a Greek Cypriot family in the 1970s. boys were favoured. Sorry, Mum, they were, but the boys were favoured, and so everybody loved Andrew. I'm sure they loved me too, but I just always felt I was competing against his very cute little brother and being compared all the time. And I thought, what must that be like for twins, constantly being compared? So I thought, let's make them as different as possible.
So they're two individuals.
Yeah, but in a way that they may well be compared by a neurotypical society, because Callie is really good at maths, really good at English, will get grade 6 in her SATs when she does them next year, and all the rest. Whereas Jimmy, he needs a teaching assistant to help him stay focused. But it soon transpires that he's just as intelligent and just as capable as his sister. Yeah. But and it's not all about scoring points in terms of achievements anyway. But we see how by thinking outside the box or creating a platform for people to shine in their own way, or supporting people with whatever challenges or differences they have, they get their chance in the spotlight, or at least get to feel accepted or succeeding in life in some way. So Jimmy is clearly creative, popular, funny, a really good friend, and so they're very different. Callie's likeable as well, and when I ask children which twin do you like best, it's always a bit 50-50 actually.
That's good.
But
that's
children
good.
do tend to relate to them well, especially children with certain learning challenges, or people with neurodiversity, such as children with autism, dyslexia, ADHD. I often get messages sent to me through Instagram saying, oh, my child's currently undergoing a diagnosis for autism, and your books make him feel safe.
See, that's nice, isn't it?
And that's what books should do. They should be your companion.
Exactly.
And we're fighting.
And do you know what's nice? I mean, I've always said this through things that I used to do, like I used to do charity stuff. And if one person says to you, oh, thank you, does it mean a lot? Yeah,
I get a little bit of fan mail here and there, and I literally frame them, because
it's nice.
One. It is nice to be in the Guardian's top 10, or going back to Audible. I was chosen to. I put myself forward to record my own books for Audible, and they became on the bestseller chart. They seem to work even better told out loud than on the page. So these accolades are great. But the best bit is when I go in front of a school full of children, and then they'll come up to me in the corridor. The open mouth.
Look.
And they'll come up to you in the corridor saying, I love your books. They're the only ones I read. Or I've read your book every night for the whole year. I won't read anything else. And I mean, I say, let's broaden your reading horizons a little bit more. But that's lovely.
That's what it's about.
You're connecting with somebody.
Connected. Now, we met at the Bleak House at the Children's
Book Festival,
which was really nice to go to. And, we got to meet yourself and a few of the other authors.
And we're hoping to do an expanded version of that. It was great for me as an author. I love meeting fellow authors as much as my audience, because we cheer each other on, we bounce off each other.
Do you read each other's books?
Yeah. At Bleak House, I bought John Condon's Dragon book for my new nephew, Henry.
Nan was there as well, wasn't she? The lady, she was doing she had the Bumblebee book, if I remember.
Oh yeah, there was a grandma there. No, she's called Nan, isn't she?
That's it. She's called Nan.
I'm thinking of Nan now because there's a very important, integral grandma character in Callie and Jimmy called Yaya, who's their grandma.
There you go.
Yeah, sorry, no, I did, and we watch each other's presentations as well. Somebody I've learnt a lot from is Jacqueline Wilson, probably one of my biggest idols. And what I learnt from her, my publisher actually said, you're like Jacqueline Wilson. And I said, oh, I wish. But she said, the reason you're like Jacqueline Wilson is you give every reader your time. And so when somebody writes to me, I'll write back. Or when I was at the Chiswick Book Festival alongside Jacqueline Wilson, but doing different events. And I queued up in line to get my sleepover club book signed, and the queue was long and slow because she talked to every child along that queue, and I was right at the end. And my reason my publisher said you're like Jacqueline Wilson is she was a slow burn. It took a while for her to really take off in her career, because it isn't an easy game to get into, especially now with the digital social media age. We're competing against children and their phones. Even on the bus, in the old days, we had a board book attached to our buggies, didn't we? Or a crinkle book. Now, I see them on the bus in their prams with an iPhone in front of them.
Go and see the new Toy Story 5.
Okay, does that address that issue?
Oh, massive.
Yeah, we gotta love Toy Story.
It's the best one.
Right, well, I might take my mum.
It's the best.
My mum has Alzheimer's, and opposite Chartwell House there's a massive Vue cinema.
That's where we went. It's brilliant.
I will definitely take my mum there to see Toy Story.
That addresses this issue of children not playing and reading.
Yeah. And that's what I did. Didn't just read. I played with all my cuddly toys. They all had lives and personalities.
You've got to go and see Toy
and just like Enid Blyton's books, they would come to life at night in the nursery. Not that we had a nursery. We weren't quite from Enid Blyton's background, but she inspired me.
So, like I say, talking about festivals are important, aren't they? Now, obviously, we had the one here. And I'm sure there's others that go on.
Something that brought me to Thanet was the Margate Bookie. So there's a big book festival in Margate, and that also had some funding to put writers into primary schools. Yeah. And because I've been a primary school teacher, I'm a great candidate for that, because I not only have am able to promote reading for pleasure because I've got a great book. I know how to talk to children and to hold an assembly with 500 in the hall. So, I think visiting schools is just as important as, if not more, than reading.
Is that something you're looking to do here in Broadstairs?
Already. I've only been here a few months, and I've been through Margate Bookie in the past. I'd visited Chiltern in Ramsgate and Salmsden in Margate. So when I moved here, I wrote to both schools saying, I had a lovely time at your school. Would you like me to come back and read the next instalment of Callie and Jimmy? And they lapped me up, and the kids were just as welcoming. And I also went to Stone Bay and did some story times there.
And that's a lovely school, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's an autism school for children with autism.
I meant them to be riding for the disabled.
Yeah, and they, obviously, an assembly setting wouldn't be so appropriate, so I went into a few select classes and read to them. And there was one boy, they were all out to play when I arrived, and the teacher said, there will be one boy who will just go into his little tent. He had his own little sensory cubby hole in the corner of the class. And she said, don't worry about him if he does that. So I did my story time, and they were all sitting on their chairs in a little semicircle around me, all open-mouthed, listening beautifully and interacting and laughing in all the right places. And then I said to the lady, where was the boy who was in his tent? I didn't see him in his tent. And she said, that was the one right in front of you, who stayed with you the whole time. Yeah, he went on a little tangent about the planet Pluto at one point, but he was enjoying himself, and he clapped at the end, and he smiled, and he enjoyed his Callie and Jimmy instalment, and that's so all
nice,
that you want.
Isn't it? That's so nice.
We write for our readers.
Of course you
I know memoir and so forth can be cathartic for yourself too, but as an author, we write for our readers, and we always have our audience in mind while we're writing. It's like I can see them across the other side of the laptop. Because what's the point of writing in publishing and going through this year-long process to get a book out if you're not then going to have children clutching it in their hands, keenly running off to read it.
The biggest critics as well.
Oh yeah, which is why
they don't hold back, do they?
Yeah, not blow my own trumpet. I feel Callie and Jimmy are a success because the children want to read Callie and Jimmy.
Well, that's good.
Once I've sort of sold it to them, so just picking up a loose thread. So the self-publishing came through going to a writers' festival. Published short stories as Invincible Voices. Took them to the Chiswick Book Festival because Waterstones Chiswick really loved Invincible Voices and said, hey, we can add you to the Children's Book Festival, which also had more established authors such as Jacqueline Wilson. And on the platform that day with me was Julian Clary with The Bolds, which is another similar middle grade funny fiction for children. And his publisher was with him, and this was Charlie Shepherd of Andersen Press. And I was making small talk with Julian Clary because he'd been a bit of an idol of mine, and it was weird being in the same room as him. And he's been very polite and lovely and answering my questions.
He comes across as a really nice guy.
Lovely guy, very intelligent. You know, he is a celebrity writer who actually writes. You know, he's good. And, you know, there is a place for celebrities who write, of course. It's just frustrating when literally their name is put on the front of a book for it to be a brand. Or I heard another writer recently say, somebody asked me to write a children's book. I thought, I'll give it a bash. Which I found a little bit insulting when people like me, my contemporaries like Phil Earle, I was at uni with, have been passionately going at this for 20, 30, 40 years. Jacqueline Wilson too. So Julian Clary's publisher was there, and she looked up from her phone and she said, she was just sort of listening a bit into our voices, and she said, are you Zoe Antoniades? And I said, yeah, but I thought she won't have heard of me because I'm not that famous. I'm just self-published on my little journey still. And she said, I said, yeah. She goes, I was at school with you. And I thought, I didn't go to any schools posh enough to churn out publishers. So I thought, was it Waldegrave? And which was quite a nice school, my secondary school. And she said, no, it was Heathfield. I was the headmaster's daughter. And I was like, you're Charlotte Ellerington. And we hadn't seen each other since we were 10.
Wow.
So more than 30 years later.
You've got a...
Yeah, and so it wasn't exactly nepotism because I had to be a bit of a writer for her to end up at the festival alongside her and Julian Clary. But it was a great inroad to make that connection, and so she invited. Yeah, it's a real serendipitous story.
So have you had them have gone?
Callie and Jimmy might not be.
No.
Because she knew about me and my brother when we were at primary school. Sadly, my brother died at 18 in a car accident. Yeah, so especially being almost like twins, that is, you know, a bit of me is missing now, and it always will be. Yeah. And she said, so sorry to have heard about your brother, because her dad, who was the head teacher, was still in touch with some of the parents at the time. Yeah. I'd moved away, not far from Twickenham to Chiswick. But when you're 10, that's a big distance. Yeah. And so we all lost touch. And but her dad had stayed in touch with some of the other parents, so knew about my brother and what had happened 10 years after we'd left primary school. And she said, so sorry about him. And she said, you were like twins, weren't you? I said, yeah, we were 11 months apart. She said, we call that Irish twins because we were born in the same year. It's a thing. She said, I've been looking for an author to write about twins. Because of IVF and things like that, there are a lot of twins around now, more than ever. And whenever I go into schools, I make a big fuss of the twins. They come up and we take photos together with Callie and Jimmy. And she said, how about you try out writing some stories about twins with, you know, your brother and yourself at heart, you know. And so we had a little meeting. She invited me to her offices. At the time, they shared them with Penguin Random House. So I felt very grand going into their canteen, meeting a real publisher at Penguin Random House. And so we thrashed out a few ideas. I said, should we make them boy-girl? She said, yeah, it could be like you and Andrew. And how should we make them different, and so forth. And so she said, write me 4 stories. Just give me 4 stories. So I went away and just drafted some out, thinking, she might look at those and go, oh, there's something in that one story. I definitely didn't think I thought she was just giving me writing advice, like a friend.
But it wasn't.
But in the back of her head, all along, she was thinking, if Zoe's any good, we might give her a contract.
Yeah.
It didn't cross my mind. I just thought, here I am in the world of publishing, getting advice from one of the greats. And so I did these 4 drafts and sent them to her, and she did a bit of an edit on them, and she wanted my opinion, and I thought, again, she was just helping me with my writing tips. And because I responded well to her criticism without going, oh, I don't agree, or how dare you say that about my precious writing, which I definitely not. I love the criticism, and I will take criticism on the chin, and I like the editing process almost more than the first draft process, because the book becomes even better.
Oh, yeah, that's what it's about,
yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
So then,
that has to be done.
Yeah, we had a second lunch. She said, come and have a second lunch with me and we'll talk about those edits. So I thought, okay, a bit more advice on where to go in my writing. And she was saying, we were chatting for 5 minutes about what did you think of that suggestion? What did you think of that one? She said, I think you should make certain bits in the present tense because Callie's still alive right now while she's writing the stories, and little bits like that about the narrative. And, I was taking the criticism on the chin nicely again, and she sort of stopped me and said, so the thing is, I've been talking to my colleagues and we're thinking of giving you a 2-book deal. And this is what the contract will look like. And then I just started to cry. I was like, what? Are you serious?
That was not expected.
That was not expected. No. I thought she was being my kind, long-lost friend. But
she was actually being a professional.
Yeah. And I knew Anna friend too. She was so happy to reconnect with someone from her childhood and her dad's school. And so... Yeah, I don't have any family in the industry. I have no writers in my family. Some cousins now are writing or editing, but at the time there was nobody. And I'm really grateful to my mum. She always read us a bedtime story. And she wasn't educated, but she always read us a bedtime story. We always picked the longest one so we could stay up late. And she also got us audiobooks on vinyl. I remember playing Goldilocks and Three Bears on vinyl. I loved it.
Because Toby's blind, or physical books in Braille are huge.
Yeah.
They're massive. They're like this high in a pile.
I think I was listening to your podcast with Nikki Rosengarten, and you were talking about books in Braille with her, weren't you?
So what happened with Toby was he went over to audiobooks.
Yeah.
And to this date, he downloads all the time.
And
he's just done the new Harry Potter series, which is just because it's done with some really big actors, big cast.
Yeah,
loves that. But I'm not like.
Didn't Stephen Fry narrate those?
He did the original book, right? But now they've done with a full cast.
Oh right, excellent.
And it is a big cast. Mark Addy. I mean, there's so many people in it. Kit Harris.
And I find, just like your son, some of my readers actually are listeners. They just do the audio book.
Absolutely.
Or they might listen to the audiobook and then get the paperback. But it was really good fun recording those. I can honestly say we have thousands and thousands of CDs. Right. Yeah.
And they are so diverse in what he loves.
Yeah.
So we've got... I mean, I can remember the last Harry Potter book, and we wanted to read it.
Yeah, because we grew up with them coming out one at a time.
Like, it's coming out.
Whereas,
and I went to the bookseller at midnight. We were on a plane at 6 a.m.
Right.
I queued up. I got us the book and Toby the audio book on CD.
Yeah.
So he could listen
you
to
all
it.
Got, you all so got the
So we all got it. So, and people anticipate books, don't they?
Yeah.
And they look forward to
Yeah,
the
well,
next
another question I get asked, apart from where do you get your ideas from, and I say I steal them from you children. I get asked...
no commission.
Yeah. I get asked, when's the next one coming out?
Isn't that nice?
Naturally, and the next one there'd probably be one a year.
Yeah.
But because I've had a big move in the last year, with Mum and myself, the fifth book hasn't. I've written a bit of a draft of the first two stories, but I haven't got the complete one. It will happen. Charlie Shepherd, if you're listening, we haven't contracted it, but they like me because I do go out peddling my wares, if you like. I go into schools and get the books out there, and that's the most important thing. That's where you're going to get a big audience. So they always support me when it comes to getting another book out. Because a lot of books, some of their most brilliant picture books, are out of print after a couple of years. I've bought their wonderful Spots and Dots for a nephew, and it became his favourite book. And his mum said, can we get a few more to give to his friends? And I went to Andersen Press and they were out of print.
Wow.
And I thought, what a shame. So we had to sort of dig a few out from the basement of Andersen Press's offices.
And the other thing is, it doesn't matter. Books suck you in.
Yeah.
And you enter that world, don't you? And I always remember there was a book, I was talking to Nikki about this, and there's a book called Knots on a Counting Rope.
Right.
Which because I do lots of things with blind children. Through
so it's
support
sensory,
groups.
isn't it?
And I say to their parents when they have a new baby, read this
that
book.
Yeah. Is it still in print?
It's still in print.
Good.
And it's also browed.
Excellent.
So they got the brow over the cover of the actual pages,
Yeah.
which is quite good. You have to get it from Canada, but that's an inspirational book.
Yeah.
And you actually, at the end of it, you go, wow.
Yeah, some books are there to inspire, aren't they?
They are.
And I think Callie and Jimmy, first and foremost, I think are there to entertain, because reading for pleasure is a massive thing now. But there is, they do inspire people to want to read more, to understand about neurodiversity, as there's a lot more conversation opening up. In fact, when I wrote the first Callie and Jimmy in 2019, there wasn't nearly as much dialogue about ADHD as there is now.
But now it's out there, isn't
even
it?
my own first copy of Callie and Jimmy looked a little bit ignorant about ADHD. It's kind of just observing behaviours you have with ADHD in that. So occasionally some people misconstrued that as Callie saying Jimmy's annoying because he has ADHD, which isn't true. He's annoying because he's her brother.
Exactly.
And everyone finds their brothers annoying, and vice versa.
much.
Most likely, if Jimmy was the narrator, he'd find Callie annoying too. But by the time I've reached the fourth book in the series, Twinseparable, we understand a lot more about ADHD. Yeah, and so there is more a story dedicated to kind of explaining what that is and how you can use it to your strengths. Some people call it a superpower. I don't know if we go as far as that, but certainly looking at where, people like Stephen Wiltshire, even Einstein and Leonardo da Vinci possibly had some neurodivergent qualities about them. And so how do we use that to our strengths? So I think it does inspire some children as well. Children with dyslexia find them very accessible. Yeah.
That's good. So what have you got coming up?
What have I got coming up? I'd like to write the fifth Callie and Jimmy. Callie and Jimmy are in year 5 all the way through the series, but I'm taking them up to year 6 because they're in a 1-form entry school at the moment, so they're in the same class. But as a tutor and teacher of English, I work with children with the 11 plus, preparing for that. And when I was a kid, we just went to the nearest school. But now there's all this choice and entrance tests and so forth. And I see these parents at the other end that I'm supporting alongside their children in these terrible quandaries. What do I do for my child? Do I put them through this competitive process? Is a grammar school right for them? Or is the tech college up the road more suitable? So we're addressing that because for Jimmy, the 11 plus will be a no-go. He's gonna be brave enough to tackle the sats. You know, something like that will not be for him. Whereas for Callie, it's right up her street. So why not give Callie the opportunity of going to a grammar school?
So that's where your next book is.
Yeah, so they're going to look
area.
at different schools. They'll be in year 6 with a view, and Jimmy's a bit like, what? Wait, does that mean we're going to split up? Because they're twins, and, you know, the 4th book's called Twinseparable because they are a real unit.
Yeah.
But I think the message of that is everybody's different and everybody can follow their own paths, even if you're twins being compared to one another all the time. You've got your own route to take, but you are still twins forever, sort of thing. And so that's going to be the premise of the 5th book. If Charlie Shepherd, if you're listening, if we get off the contract.
Is if people wanted to come along and like meet you and listen to you and etc. Have you got any other events coming up, festivals, etc.?
I wrote those down so I wouldn't forget, because there's quite a lot. I've been really lucky. You asked me earlier, have I tapped into schools in the local area? So just in the most recent months, I've been to Stone Bay School, Chiltern, Salmsden. I've worked with University of Kent to go into Brompton Academy in Gillingham and the Turner Free in Folkestone, supporting year 7s. They do a programme supporting children in secondary school who might not see themselves going to university. And they do a reading programme with University of Kent students. And I did an author talk to champion their celebration event at the end. But coming up, you've probably heard of the Reading Summer Challenge for children that comes out every year. This one is called Read to the Beat. I know Nikki Rosengarten's supporting that at the Children's Bookshop in Reading Street. Or Reading Street. I think it should be called Reading Street if it's got a children's bookshop. So Broadstairs Library are obviously championing the Reading Challenge, and I'll have 2 events there that will be combined with their arts and crafts club that they have every Saturday throughout the year from 10:30 to 12:30, which is brilliant. They've got great space there. So we'll be doing a Callie and Jimmy workshop on Saturday 25th of July and also Saturday 8th of August at Broadstairs Library. And also the lovely, and I don't know if it's Kinder Collective or Kinder Collective, I think it's the play on words, a lovely children's bookshop come clothes shop come toy shop and eco community friendly shop. They have a really lovely programme of summer events coming up, including beach tidies with art activities and all sorts of things. And included in that is a Callie and Jimmy workshop and story time where we plan a brand new Callie and Jimmy story. I think that's it for the summer. But lots of schools. If you're at a primary school and you're listening, I'm very happy to go into any local school in Thanet and offer an assembly for free. I can't offer a full author day because it does exhaust me, and you know, authors do need to earn a living, so I will charge an author fee for a full author day, or World Book Day is already booked up a year ahead. If you'd like me to come in and offer a lovely assembly telling you all about Callie and Jimmy, inspiring reading for pleasure and giving a lovely story time as well, very happy to come down and offer you an afternoon visit and do a bit of a book signing on the playground. So please do email me. It's Zoe at zoeantoniades.com.
And it'll be on the...
It'll be somewhere. You can find me.
So I've got 2 final questions for you.
Go on then.
Number 1, who's your favourite author?
Oh, don't ask me that. My favourite children's authors growing up were Enid Blyton, Roald Dahl, and I like poets as well, so Spike Milligan. And of course Jacqueline Wilson. She's very kindly inspired me and even wrote a little blurb for the front of one of my books. So those are my children's go-tos, but I've got so many children's author friends. I'm sitting surrounded by them.
We are surrounded by books.
Phila, Ross Montgomery, Serena Patel, so many children's authors that are great. grown-ups authors, I like reading about family and people, because Callie and Jimmy are all about family and friendship.
Yeah.
And I wrote a memoir which I want to fictionalise. So my go-tos are people like Anne Tyler, Liz Strout. I like Irish writers like Donal Ryan, Colm Toibin as well. People who observe family life and humans and the human condition, and just tell a good story about people. Those are the ones I enjoy.
Brilliant.
If they've got a bit of humour in them as well.
You like that?
That's for me, yeah. Well, because life can be challenging and sad and dark. But even the darkest stories, if I write about my mum in her dementia home, I'm always looking for the light as well. There's a lot of fun to be had. You know, she's not at the end of her life. She's living her next chapter, and it's funny, and there's joy to be found wherever you look.
Yeah. And what's nice about Broadstairs?
Oh my goodness. You know I talk too much. I need a whole podcast. But my favourite things about Broadstairs are the sea, the beauty of it, being in the presence of Charles Dickens, of course. Inspirational writer. And the people, first and foremost. I have been made so welcome here, from Sarah Kebbles at the restaurant, to the librarians, to the people at the jazz jam on the Monday night. It's
a very community based.
I never realised I was coming here to join a community. I thought I was coming here to write quietly.
And you can't go for a walk.
No.
Because as you do, you keep stopping and talking to people.
My sister came to visit to hear me singing with a choir at the bandstand, and she said, "Everybody knows you. You've only been here a month." It's like,
it's great. We love it.
I love the community. So, and this is why I think your podcast is fantastic, because it brings that, it sums it up in a nutshell, really, the community of Broadstairs. It's so diverse.
I have met so many lovely people. Yeah. And I've learnt lots of things.
And we're not all just DFLers. We've got a lot more about us. And
we all live in Broadstairs.
This is the community we live in, and I am so grateful to be part of it. I love it. I've never looked back.
Excellent. Well, listen, Zoe, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
So much for all what you've inspired us about today, about reading and writing and everything to do with books. So thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome.
Have a lovely day.
You too.
Lovely. Thank you for listening to Broadstairs Life today. You can follow us on various social media platforms and also podcast platforms. Thank you again.